All right. We are here with an episode of, well, the first one we got for this whole deal, the Ashen Pages podcast. And I am the Dice Boss, one of the hosts of this lovely new podcast we've got going on, along with about four other good, delicious, awesome, epic, majestic co-hosts. I say a lot of adjectives because I heard that helps out with the algorithm, the old faithful there. Let's go ahead and introduce these lovely co-hosts, starting off with Shorkle. Shorkle, say hello to everybody. Oh, having a little...
Technical issues, sorry. Hello!
Yeah, there's a little bit of technical issues. We're working the kinks out. We're working all the stuff out, or whatever terms people use these days. And then we got our second guest, or not guest, co-host, Corvo the Sniper. Say hello. And then, of course... Sup. And then we got our other co-host, Starside, the K9. What's up, man?
Greetings. Good to be here. Good to be here on the podcast and good to here hanging out with all these cool folks and cool peeps.
Oh, yeah. And then we got Tank. Just Tank.
We are definitely professional when doing this. Very, very professional people here.
Absolutely professional. We try our best, and we certainly keep to that. All right. So we're could start off with this whole first episode, and I figure with how we do this. This is, after all, a podcast dedicated to the notion of tabletop role-playing games, but more so we definitely have a focus on the notion of Pathfinder 2e, which is when we started the group, what we started playing, especially by the time pandemic hit. So I figured for our first topic, we're going to be covering the topic of why Pathfinder 2e, because that's a question that some people have had, especially, why that instead of Dungeons & Dragons? It's the popular one. There's a show that plays it now called Critical Role and all that kind of stuff. So what got this? And this is something I think would be decent to have at least all of us discuss the reasons. And I don't know if y'all disagree or agree. You can leave that in the comments there. But I mean, I'll start off with a bit of the deal. The one thing that I think should be established about it is that they are similar regarding the two, but I think at least one of the reasons I'll start with is, for me, the notion in the character creation, I think, was the main sell point at this point, was that there was at least 20, as we speak now, at least 20 classes. It was a little bit less than that whenever we started, because this was before like the Magus and the Summoner and all that kind of stuff started getting added in. But then you also have the Ancestries, a different way of doing races, and then the backgrounds, and then they call it the ABCs of creation at this point. And it helped, in my opinion, create a very unique kind of character. Even characters that a couple times the players here were trying to like make and come up with, that sometimes wouldn't be as well kind of mechanic-wise in D&D, but we found a way to at least make it work within the Pathfinder system with what we could find. And so to me, I thought that was the best part, is that you can actually make very unique characters that are just, out there at that point. So that was one of the main things why I decided to go with it versus the D&D and a few other things, but we'll get to that hopefully if it does come around to me. Corvo, do you got anything you want to mention?
Me?
Heck yeah.
Me?
Heck yeah, I'm asking you.
Fuck, man. Don't get up.
No, the other one named Corvo.
Oh yeah, the other one, Corvo 2.
Hello, I am Corvo too. You called for me. But so I guess my reasoning for more of the Pathfinder than I do D&D, I guess that's what we're going for in this situation, is mostly because when it came to D&D, it was just a lot of information that confused me in a sense, because I get easily confused. I'm kind of a fucking dimwit when it comes to like processing stuff, especially when you have attention deficit disorder. And with Pathfinder, it kind of made it a little bit more simple. That, or I just can't wrap my head around D, and it's probably easier than what I give it to be, but like I don't know, it's just more. Pathfinder is more of my speed in the sense of like it helps to keep track of like, especially if I level up and then it just like, oh yeah, by the way, whatever class you were playing, this level right here, this is what all you get. And I'm like, oh okay, that makes sense. All right, I can do that. That's pretty simple and standard, and I don't really, at least I've never seen anything that came to it for D&D. And it was pretty simple in the fact that I could play basically a Neko girl.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
which is funny to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's easy to kind of go with that notion, and just to kind of comment on the deal there with, like you said, it can be sometimes difficult and everything like that. And I think because like a lot of people like to sometimes complain about the rule set being like too chunky, like there's like tons of rules. I'm still haven't even finished knowing almost all of the whole deal. I'm still learning some of the deals, but the one thing I appreciate about that is that because of how much rules there is, it does clarify a lot of things, whereas in D&D you kind of got to improvise and make up, and you might forget because it's like you're improvising on the top of the spot, and then next week, wait, wasn't this allowed though, and for this particular skill and all that, then GM's just kind of like so that's the one thing. What?
You see what happens.
Yeah. I've been playing like 5e for like 2.5 years, and I recently switched over to Pathfinder because it's the group we're in. It is a lot different. I hate how Pathfinder does multi-classing on a personal level because it's so confusing to me. But it's fun nonetheless. Yeah, it's archetypes and everything else. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, that was what I was about to say. That was the one thing I liked about it. Because it's a unique thing where you don't sacrifice. Because like when you level up and do multi-classing in D&D, you gotta sacrifice a level in your primary class and then put it into another thing. And so you can't even, when you do that, reach the level 20 function or level 15 function of some of your main classes at that point, because you're having to sacrifice all these leveling ups. Whereas at least in the archetype, it does it in an interesting way, especially if you're a GM that decides to use the free variant rule of the archetype. But I found if you thought that was fun, difficult, I found to actually have a multi-classing thing in another deal in the Game Mastery Guide, where it's literally like you get for the classes and everything in the main deal. Instead of an archetype thing, you're getting every single thing from those classes. So when you get to level 2 and you get a class feat and bard feat, you get a class feat as well in, say, champion feat, but you get every other thing, including skill increases, skill feats. Like, it's basically doing more double the work than what happens with the archetype thing, and that would definitely be difficult. But yeah, I mean, so like, is there anything like, because I know there's definitely the archetype, and is there anything else though that you like about Pathfinder compared to?
It's less broken. With D&D 5e, you can break everything. I had a friend, y'all know him as June, who was able to shoot like an Eldritch Blast past the moon at like level 5. It was so easy to break a character and make them overpowered.
Oh yeah.
In 5e, and you just can't do that in Pathfinder as easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did make one mistake though that was a bit of an overpowering and did break one version of the Eldritch Blast, because I tried to bring that into it, but then I found out it's like, okay, it's gonna be a D10, but then I decided since it was a cantrip, it was gonna be like most of the other offensive cantrips, that is, add your spellcasting modifier. We had Corvo, not Corvo the sniper, but Corvo, a character that you played, and I did this. And I think by one point you were dealing 3d10 plus 30 damage, and that could double on a critical.
I honestly, could not tell you. I can't remember what all happened.
Yeah, it's been a while
That would
since that one.
require me to go
It was
all the way and
3D10 plus
look at it.
26.
Yep, 3d10 plus 36, and it was just like I'm having to keep up with all the math, and then crap, she killed it in one go. Oh my. What have I done?
I mean, sometimes
Pronouns, thank you.
Oh no, I was talking about you as the player was the one that broke it. I know that they were them, but it was just the fact that
Pronouns, my dude.
oh wait, oh yeah,
you forgot
dang it.
pronouns.
Now I'm mixing 3 people up in this. I am a moron at this point.
Nah,
I'm still trying to wake up.
Look, I feel that. I got off work like not too long ago, so I'm still trying to like.
Like I haven't had a chance to
I'm
relax.
dazed and confused.
I managed to make sure to get a cup of something of caffeine before I left work.
Hey, that's good. And
guys
you have
want
access
some
to
of
it.
that straight to your veins.
Yeah.
You just get a needle, like shove it in there, and you're done. You're ready to go for the day.
Oh
Just
god,
put
this
an,
is good.
give me an IE of G Fuel and I'll be set.
That's the best stuff. At least that won't give you crashes. Speak.
24 milligrams of G fuel stat.
That's awesome.
So,
Dead.
Starside, what are you some of the things that you would enjoy about the game?
What do I enjoy about the game? And going back to your question, Pathfinder, I believe is a great starter in my opinion. Yeah, D&D is more popular, and with Pathfinder sitting in second, some people would say in the shadow.
Yeah.
Pathfinder's like it's complex and unique in its own way, and after spending more time with this tabletop RPG, it becomes more common and more fun down the road. I mean, heck, a content creator I know streams their Pathfinder sessions on YouTube, and it's nice seeing their notification pop up every now and then.
Ooh, who do you watch on that?
They're a voice actor who's done some comic dubs. Some safe for work, some not so others.
Fair.
I believe they go by the name Wooten.
Wooten.
WUTEN.
The Wooten Files.
Yeah.
Well, we got one person in here who's probably gonna pipe up
Wooten
on
Hero
that
who?
one. I'm assuming it's got a brony because I see like a red.
Yes, that is them.
And a very hungry caterpillar. Okay, there's a video for that.
Saving that one for later.
So I'm gonna have to check this out then because I've been
Right in the bank.
finding some interesting Pathfinder YouTubers, No Nat Ones, Collective Arcana, a couple others, but that's a new one there, especially if they're running their own game. So I'll definitely have to check that one out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like. You know, that's the thing. People like to say, like, it's complicated. In fact, that was one of the things that one of the guys from, I think it was called Talking 20 or Rolling 20 or something like that. It was, he was complaining about, like, some of the deals in there. But, you know, people have made responses already on how, like, you can fix these things. 'Cause here's the thing as well that a lot of people like to think about is, like, you know, you don't have to necessarily follow everything that's in the book. You can... It's there for, like, you know, ideas and a sort of general notion of how to do it. But, like, I don't...
Inspiration.
Exactly. And I don't run the downtime or exploration modes as it is usually described in the game. Because according to how it's done, apparently, it also involves the 3-action system for rounds. And I'm just like... I don't know how to feel about that. Like, it just kind of takes away from a little bit of the creativity thing of it out of it. And so I just kind of want to, you know, go by and see how at least y'all do on a creative end. And it makes some fun situations at that point. But I think the other, what was it? Another thing as well is even the combat. You don't always have to say roll initiative. And I'm trying to remember, there's been some moments where that's happened, but it's led to either y'all immediately killing this high-level thing that I have worked so hard to make. Oh, that better one is Tank. You ending the last campaign, anticlimactically in my opinion, but it was still awesome.
Look, you gave me a wish spell. You expect me not to use it, when we fight an army that's bigger than the nation. Okay.
Yep. From the deck of many things. Literally, this dude, he drew from the deck of many things, drew the card, only had one wish, and he saved it to the very end. I knew he was trying to do this, and I was trying to push any excuse to get him to expel it and use it, but he didn't. And, well, it's just how much fun that it can happen there just by a little bit more role-playing instead of just going straight into initiative and then BOOM! Just completely...
Gotta have that mindset. Gotta have that mindset.
Oh, yeah, you definitely gotta have that mindset.
You just pull up the meme with the dude that's, like, poking at his head or some... I can't remember the fucking meme, but, like, it's the one where it's like, you gotta think. Think about it.
And then we got someone who's been a bit silent, and we should get their opinions on this. Sharkle, what are your thoughts on, this game versus others?
Well, seeing as I'm generally kind of new to tabletop RPGs like this,
mm-hmm.
and I've done a few normal D&D sessions before, and they just always felt very clunky and very static,
Mm-hmm.
Like, the DM I was trying her hardest, but it just was kind of, it's hard to describe things. But
do I know? Do I?
Do we really know? That's the question.
I will punch you, I swear to God.
Bring it. I enjoy.
Shut up. Anyways, it's just I found Pathfinder a lot easier for me, and I've had a lot more fun with Pathfinder than I have D&D, just to be honest.
What would be one moment you could kind of think of that could demonstrate that, and how you would have more fun in Pathfinder as opposed to, or in comparison to D&D?
Well, I feel like I've been able to have a lot more flexibility when it comes to my character and how to deal with situations, and just... He died. Okay, you gotta pick it off the cup here, boys. Like, in the previous campaigns I was in, it always, attack always felt very scripted, and, I wasn't able to do much. But with Pathfinder, I was able to use my opponent as a weapon, and it worked! I would have never have thought I would have been able to do that if I had stuck with my D&D party.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I found out, and there's the rule about improvised weapons, and then now I have to figure this out on how to work with it, but at least it was fun, especially because I forgot what happened. I know that in the current campaign we're running, Tank was playing as a character named Stone, a barbarian, and just I think you used an actual person as a weapon at one point.
Several times, yes.
And you even used a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was...
I'm built different, okay?
I'm different, yeah.
I'm different. Oh, man. And let's speak about that when it comes to the strength, because there's the other reason why I like it is how it does proficiency in this. Like in D&D, you have, if you look at the chart for, what you're playing as, for example, we'll just go ahead and use the barbarian as an example with this, is that you have a thing that scales regarding the proficiency bonus. If you're a barbarian, that bonus is at a +2 until you get to level 5, then it's a +3. Then you get to level 9, it's a +4. So eventually, by the time you get to level 20, the max you can get is a +6. The thing that I don't like about that sometimes, it can make it still, you don't feel as powerful. You make a very believable kind of basic, no offense, kind of character in that regard. But in Pathfinder 2e, according to the Game Mastery Guide, to explain why they do the proficiency system they do, is, quote, "The proficiency rank progression in the core rulebook is designed for heroic fantasy games where heroes rise from humble origins to world-shattering strength." So you really get to feel the power that you gain in this escalation and how it works, because you're not just adding a basic +2 or +4, depending on if you're trained expert at something. You then add your modifier with that. So let's say you're an expert in something. That's a 4. Let's say you're at least level 5, that's already going to be.
You add the big numbers.
Yeah, you add the big numbers essentially because you're level 5. You have a strength modifier of 5, so you have the 4. So 4 plus 5, that's 9. Add in the other 5 from your level because you add your leveled number in the proficiency system every single time. That's at least a plus 14. And then, of course, this is before you had like any circumstance bonus or item bonuses to your attack that could get you to like a plus 15 or 16 or even 17 if you're really lucky in certain situations. And this just makes you feel powerful compared to when you start at like level 2 or level 3, and that was like a plus 9 or something like that. So to me, there's a lot of fun and good, like you start to feel like you're strongest. I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty sure some of y'all, I'm normally the GM. I don't really get to be the player as much except in another campaign that one of our other players in the server is running. I mean, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all kind of get that kind of notion with y'all's?
I can fight a god. I will kill God.
Oh.
I could fist fight God, and I could win. And that's all that matters.
So we got 2, I'm assuming, yeses on that one there. Sniper, what about you? Corvo? Oop.
I sometimes forget that I can mute my mic with a simple flick of the switch. And then I forget that it's muted, and here we are in this awkward situation. My bad.
Ah, you good. It wasn't too awkward.
Oh no, it felt a little
It was
awkward.
very awkward. It was a lot.
It was kind of awkward. I'm not gonna.
We're leaving this in. We're leaving this in.
I'm sorry. I have,
What
I have to go.
enemy?
I must depart. Anyway.
Actually left the call. Alright. So, what about you with there's Corvo and Kono? You had the chance to play 2 characters to go through these experiences.
Well, I mean, one of them befriended a god, so.
Yep.
One of them became a god.
Yeah, it did become a god.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you get to feel that with how it goes. What about you, Starside?
Remind me what the prompt was.
It was about the issue about the proficiency and like how it works in Pathfinder. Like when you add not just your ability modifier, but you also add the proficiency from if you're a trained expert master in something, and then you add your level number. And to me, I think it just makes you feel a little more scaled and like you feel yourself growing in power. I
personally do like that. Yes. It may seem a bit complex and very complicated at first, but once you just figure it out, and then you can feel how powerful your character is, and it's like, oh, it could also make or break a fight.
Oh yeah,
and not just a fight, the more verbal battles too.
Mm-hmm. And even like anything at that point, because even the skills, especially like level, like originally when we had Kono trying to check out the skills or check out for the traps and everything, it'd be just being very careful, try to be intricate, then try a sort of similar trap but at a bit of a lower level, and all it takes just Kono, the rogue, just like smashing a rock or something like that, or making a flick of a thing, and then it just stops as if it's nothing to Kono at this point. And so to me, like that kind of thing where you have these characters like progressing as they level, it makes you feel like you're not just this average Joe that everyone met in the beginning, but rather now you are this unique and ultimate hero, like you're an actual legend and not just a basic kind of hero in Dungeons and Dragons, whereas now in this you're more so of a legend at that point. And that's the thing I can appreciate about that and can help with everything with how the game runs and the experience that it has. The other thing I like about it is the homebrew style. Like, and Starside can attest to this because me and him were the ones that helped create a new kind of sort of creature, humanoid in the game and the world that we play. Was the Stellarian.
Y'all are husband, hell of a boss simp.
Hey, I'm not the simp. Starside's the simp.
Wow, you're gonna out me in 4K like that?
But to be honest, both of you simps.
I mean,
Yeah, you furry.
You furry.
look who's talking.
Okay.
Hey! I'll kill you.
But yeah, like
It will happen, RC. I will take your knee.
I will open it and with great embrace. But yeah, Starside. I mean, like you and me kind of started talking about that, and we even gave it a test run at one point in a one shot. I think that was also the first time you actually played just a general game of Pathfinder at that point too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that that little play test. It was my first introduction into the game, and also trying out the homebrew character was a lot of fun too. It's I was still a little bit confused at the time, but I was learning overall, and it was a lot of fun. I felt like more engaged, and playing that character was just like, oh god, what do I do? It's just like, okay, should I just roll this? And it's like, oh, I actually did decent. And with RC walking me through, he had a little bit more experience than I did, which was needed. And over time, I started just like doing my own thing in the campaigns, which was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Because to me, the homebrew is easier. Now, it can be difficult if you're doing it for an ancestry or a class, and that's the one thing I did was first. It was an ancestry, so highly don't recommend that when you're trying to do homebrew for the first time. But when I did it, the main thing I found out is that, okay, especially with new ancestries coming in, how did they come up with this stuff? So I started looking at all the feats and then the heritages, and I just found out it's easy. Homebrewing ultimately is summed up in 3 ways from what I found out. If you look at any item, any ancestry, any feat, it's ultimately boiled down to plus circumstance bonus or status bonus to certain skills or abilities, getting certain like abilities, like the issue of having like dark vision in a particular case, or having the ability to have a free unarmed attack like fangs or claws or something like that. Any of these kinds of things I thought were like just the general go-to for that, and so it's just easy at that point because they're generally down to like at least 3 to 4 different categories of homebrew. And at that point, once you kind of get that, it's easy to come up with things, especially then when we started coming up with interesting weapons. Like in the campaign, we have Shorkle having her character got these bracelets that just give a +4 bonus to spellcasting and the spellcasting DC as a whole. So I felt that could be a way to help show something that's unique, give some story to it, but at the same time, what does it do? Simple. It's just a +4 to your spell casting. Like, that's great. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a good bit. We got about like 3 minutes left to talk about some stuff. So, anyone want to jump in with anything, feel free to, that you feel we haven't covered yet.
So about the mini dragons that have been slept with.
This had to come up.
I don't think it's a lot. I think it's a very small number. Maybe 3.
Well, touche, but at the
I think we've killed more dragons than we've slept with, to be honest with you.
Well, those numbers need to go up, up, up. All right, people, we keep this in mind. We got to start going hard.
We can't exactly do that if we've killed every dragon. Like we've been doing.
Well, I mean, technically, I got with a dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I don't think that was
wanna-
you kind of got drunk and it just happened. It wasn't like your intention.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So many people that are going to be listening to this eventually and then just thinking, like, what the heck are they talking about? It's just one of those things you just had to be there, like Vegas.
I guarantee they know exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah?
Every game
Maybe
has
have
that
enough
one thing.
context clues to like Scooby-Doo it out or whatever.
Scooby-Doo it out.
Shut up!
I find it's probably going to be I think it's more interesting the fact that they think, oh, was it a bard or something like that with a lot of the dragons. We found out apparently that it's not just the bard that could fit this stereotype, because our bard is not that stereotype in this campaign. Currently, it's the swashbuckler, the pirate, the Jack Sparrow of the whole group.
See, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. I thought about, at least, because that's the other thing too that I then started to think about. You know, you have swashbuckler and you assume that that's a pirate. But it could be almost anything. That's what I like as well about the classes. They don't necessarily have to fit with what their deal is. Like, there's, you know, swashbuckler, but it could be just anything that just has a lot of swag and style in how they fight. The rogue could be any kind of various things. And then the bard, all they do is just, they have different styles of how they enhance people's abilities. I mean, next campaign, one of our players, Mad, is going to be playing a dancing kind of bard. Which I thought is interesting and hasn't been done before. At least not that I've really seen. And then I have a new idea for a bard character. It was an inspiration I got to give credit to Nonat for. But it's basically, imagine sort of like a football kind of football sort of person that like is explaining the play-by-plays, or a WWE announcer that's spectating the fights. Like, I'm picturing that for something like, and as we can see, the barbarian is coming up with that blade, and he comes in and, wow, what do you look at that? He's going to be going in for the big hit there. +3 bonus to the attack roll.
Woo! Get his ass!
So
Twist his dick up.
Oh my god.
This is getting demonetized.
Yeah, well, we're not monetized yet, so we'll see how this turns out. But I guarantee you, that's the thing. We've already established that this isn't going to be a kid-friendly one. But I hope we don't get taken down. That'll be the worst day that we get.
That's when everyone just comes flogging at me like, you bastard, you got us demonetized. And it's just like, look, I can't help my personality is stupidity.
I mean, you said it, not us.
Yeah, I know. And I meant it.
Oh, boy.
Let me be me.
I mean, we will try to let you be you, for the most part.
I'll silently judge you.
Look. Brain. Never mind.
Judge.
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead. I don't care.
well, that's the time we got on the episode. Any final thoughts that anyone want to say real quick? Any final one-liners?
Even if your DM says that you're going to take damage to sleep with the dragon, do it anyway. It's an accomplishment and everyone will find you cool.
I'm terrified you're going to kill us in this session, RC.
No.
It's a stupid plan. Do it anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah! If it's a stupid plan, do it. It might just work.
You never know what you're gonna get. Last like a box of chocolate. You never know what you get.
Starside, any that you got?
Oh,
Any
Always buy loaded dice.
Friggin' hall.
any one-liners? Do you want to say to people before we end the podcast?
this podcast is sponsored by unnamed energy drink.
Unnamed energy drink.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored, so I
You
can't.
hear
actually
me,
give out a
monster?
name.
You better sponsor us right now, or else I'll come to your house. Come on,
I would.
monster.
Yeah,
Sponsor us.
Yeah, we ain't sponsored by anything, but apparently we are definitely looking for some, it seems.
Look, I can only hope for the one thing in my life, and that would be the monster, like, refrigerator thing, the mini fridge. So I can sit there and bask in my glory knowing I have it.
Heck,
Even
I'm
though
looking.
It'll probably be the most useless thing in my home.
Oh, completely.
I'm
The
looking
amount of
for-
monster energy that I drink on a daily basis. Oh my god.
I'm-
Just to twist the knife in. By the way, I would put Mountain Dew Rises in it.
I'm looking for a G Fuel sponsor at that point, because not only we just get like into that community, but at that point we have a code. At that point, people could just type in, and we just be like, use this code, see what happens.
Look, we can only dream, Harold.
We can only dream. We can only dream.
Carl.
Carl. Wow, this is Now we're just all over the place with this one. All right, well, thank y'all all for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week with another episode of the Ashen Pages podcast. And until then, y'all take care, and remember to slay on and roll on.